X100V-X, my 40mm Fujifilm versus Ricoh GRIIX and versus Fujifilm 27mm Mark f2.8. My final thoughts regarding X100V in the 40mm crop mode. Hi there, my name is Tudor Matescu, and as you can see, I have here a Ricoh AF5 film camera that has a 40mm lens. It's making some noises. I also have here Fujifilm X Pro 3 with 27mm f2.8 Mark II, a 40mm equivalent lens on Fujifilm. I also have here Agfa Optima, a small full-frame film camera with a 40mm lens that it's having a beautiful one-to-one viewfinder. And here I have my beloved X100V that I've recently discovered that it can be used in a 40mm crop mode. And I also have Lumix 20mm f1.7 on micro four thirds and Olympus 20mm f1.4 on micro four thirds. Check card about that review. Why I'm telling you that? Because I want to tell you that I'm shooting 40mm equivalent lenses from some time. So I really like the 40mm field of view, and this is why I want to tell you from my experience regarding this field of view and regarding the fact that I was able to shoot different cameras, digital film cameras, full frame cameras with a 40mm lens. I want to share my experience if indeed we can use X100V as an X100V-X as a X100V with a 40mm equivalent lens in full frame terms. I've made two videos regarding X100V-X where I compared X100V in 40mm crop mode, sports finder mode, to Fujifilm X Pro 3. And the results will amaze you. Check link in the card. I also made another video where I showed how you can customize X100V to enter in the sports finder mode and what are the real world results in street photography. Check that video too, link in the card. So if you are into content like this, please subscribe to my channel, share my video, leave me a comment and hit that like button and notification bell to find out when I will publish my next video that it will be about the 40mm lens, why I like this field of view, the 40mm field of view for street photography. So please be sure to subscribe and hit that like button, this will help me a lot. So let's get into the subject, my final thoughts regarding X100V-X in the 40mm crop mode, the sports finder mode. It is usable or not? The first key point is regarding that after I've made several tests in my house, photographing my kids, in street photography and also in studio with 3D objects, not with charts. So I was able to test X100V-X in all these situations, and what I found is that the results are amazing. The results are amazing. So this is why even if I have a large experience regarding the 40mm lenses, I will for sure shoot X100V in sports finder mode to get that 40mm field of view. And why I will do that? Because how I've said and showed in the previous videos, the image quality that I get from this lens are amazing because it's an f2 lens, because it is focusing fast, and because of all the points that are making X100V a great camera. So X100V for me, it's not just a 40mm camera, but, and we get now at the second point, but it's also a 35mm, very competent camera as we all know it, and also a 50mm acceptable camera. So this means that on the streets or when I'm traveling, I can use this camera with 3 field of view lenses, we see field of view options. The native 35mm, that more exactly it's a 34 plus 5mm or something like that. Then entering the crop mode, the 40mm field of view, more exactly 42.5mm field of view. And when I'm using the zoom ring, this ring, I will enter in a digital crop of a 50mm field of view, that it is offering me the chance to crop and to save and to rearrange my picture in post-processing if I wasn't able to frame that picture well. So this is very, very huge for street photography. The results in JPEG mode are amazing. Also in 34, in 40mm and in 50mm. Also in 75 if you really need that reach. But what is more important about this camera is the fact that this zoom, it doesn't act like a normal zoom. Being a digital zoom will jump from a 35mm field of view to a 40mm field of view and to a 50mm field of view. I've customized my X100V when I'm pushing this button to enter in Sports Finder mode. So now I'm in Sports Finder mode. When I'm pushing again this button, the front button FN2, I will exit the Sports Finder mode and I will be in the 34mm mode. But if I will use the wheel from the lens, I will enter in the 50mm field of view digital zoom. So now I am in the 50mm field of view with that digital zoom. But very interesting, when I'm pressing the FN2 button again, I'm entering in the Sports Finder mode and exit the 50mm field of view. When I'm pressing again the Sports Finder mode, I'm exiting the Sports Finder mode and I'm entering in the 50mm field of view. So this lens, it's actually acting, digitally acting, but it is acting like a trio zoom. It was a zoom that was able to zoom just at fixed focal lengths, 35, 50 and 75. And no intermediary field of views, so you don't get a 36, a 38, a 45 field of view. No, you get fixed fields of view using the digital settings on your X100V camera. And this is amazing because this actually means in real street photography terms or documentary photography that you are changing in a way prime lenses, in a way. So this camera, it is very, very versatile. And now we are getting to the third key point, why this is working so well. Well, why this is working so well, it is again because the differences between a lens of a 35mm and the lens of a 40mm aren't so big. So this means that you will not be able usually to detect a 35mm lens from a 40mm lens. They have the same distortion. Of course, the 40mm lens, it's not so distorted, but from my experience, I like to define a 40mm lens as a 35mm lens well composed, that it's offering you the chance to make good compositions in a wider field of view like a 35. Yes, that difference of 1.25 crop, it's not huge in terms of real picture results, but it's huge in compositions. So this is why I like it so much. With a 40mm lens, you can compose very, very well pictures that are looking like they were composed with a 35 well-corrected lens. So this is again very huge. And also you can with this lens at 40mm by getting close to compose like a 50mm. But also a 50mm field of view lens, it's not so far from a 35 or from a 40mm field of view. Yes, it's far if you are talking about true optically lenses and if you want bokeh. But for a scene where the optical impression and the optical effect of a 50mm lens will not affect that scene, then you can use a crop from your 35mm lens. In real world practice, when you are shooting normal scenes and not portraits, you will not feel that difference. The difference, it is very small. So this is why I really like shooting X100V in the 40mm terms. The lens, it is sharper than this lens. The form, it is more compact. It is an f2 lens, and that means a lot. The bokeh, it is even better. The minimum focus distance, it is way better than the 27mm Mark II f2.8. And comparing it to Ricoh GRIIX, again, it's a f2 lens with very fast AF. You will not get that on Ricoh GRIIX. On Ricoh GRIIX, you will get just a very compact body. But now we are getting to the most interesting key point, and it's about the zone focusing with this 40mm lens of Fujifilm. And this is huge, and I will tell you why. This lens will act in the terms of manual focusing like a 35mm lens, not like a 40mm lens, because it is a 35mm lens that enters in a crop mode, in a digital crop mode. So this actually means that you will have a larger scale for zone focusing. So this is huge. So this actually means in real terms that you can use this lens with a larger depth of scale, with a larger depth of field, if you would compare to a true 40mm lens on an APS-C. Yes, maybe the difference it's not so big, but it is there. It is at least at 1.25 as the crop implies. So this means that you have more chances to better use zone focusing using this lens compared to Fujifilm 27mm f2.8 or compared to Ricoh GR3, because the scale, the focusing zone, the depth of field will be larger on this lens compared to a true 40mm lens. But the results, as we already seen, are better because the lens, it is very sharp, and because the lens, it is an f2 lens. Yes, you lose some resolution, but for me, for street photography, for printing, for large printing, it is sufficient, the resolution that we have in this sensor. So I really like this thing that I found regarding the zone focusing, this 40mm lens, but the zone focusing will act as a 35mm lens. Also, yes, you don't have the manual controls and the slots that you have on Ricoh GR3X, and this could be a problem, but the ring, it is very stiff. You don't have the chance to accidentally move it, so you will really be able to use this X100V-X in zone focusing with manual focusing, and this lens in the 40mm crop mode, the sports finder mode. For me, this finding regarding what X100V-X can do, it is amazing. I'm really pumped about these findings. So let's get to the last key point. The last key point is regarding the value of this lens. This lens, it is so good, in my opinion, that it can replace, no questions asked, the 27mm Mark II f2.8. The results are really showing that, and I'm really convinced from what I am seeing, and I have a very long experience regarding this lens and X100V. This is above optically from this lens, and the fact that it is acting so well in sports finder mode at 40mm, it is amazing. Also, another interesting fact, it's if you have Fujifilm 35mm f2 lens, you can use the sports finder mode on your X-T4 camera, X-T3, X Pro 3, XS10 and other cameras that have that option to enter and to make that 23mm f2 lens a crop lens, a 40mm equivalent lens. So again, this option from Fuji, it is possible to make you skip this lens, but not for all situations, of course. If you don't have X100V, or if you don't have the 23mm f2, and if you want a small compact body, and if you want to use the optical viewfinder and not the electronical viewfinder on your X Pro 3, because sports finder mode doesn't work with an optical viewfinder, then again this lens has a sense. And for me, for the moment, it has a sense, because if I want to take just one camera with me, X Pro 3 with two lenses, I will take this lens and 35mm f1.4 for example, that I really like that lens. Check my reviews about that lens, link in the card. So my final thoughts are the following. As a true passionate user of a 40mm lens field of view, I'm really recommending X100V-X, the X100V in sports finder mode, to be used as a 40mm equivalent lens, a 40mm field of view lens, that it will give you excellent results. Also, yes, if you don't have X100V-X, you can use that 23mm f2 lens that, from what I'm knowing, it is at the same quality of X100V or a little better, some users are saying, in sports finder mode on your X Pro C, on your X-T4, on your X-X10, X-E4 and so on, and you will get a 40mm equivalent lens. And again, why this is working so well? Because the distance from a 35 to a 40mm lens, it is very small. But in practical terms, in composition, from my point of view, that 40mm will really help you get very good composed images. And this is why I like the 40mm field of view so much. Please subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed, and be sure to check the links from the comments and from the description, where I shoot a turbulent event using X100V and X Pro 3. So please be sure to subscribe now to my video. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, share my video, leave me a comment, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.